So we're going to discuss squat bar placement. If this is a high bar squat, it's higher up on the shoulders, and the wrist should never be bent back. The wrist should be maintained as straight as possible. You may have to come in or out with your hand position to allow for that. This is more of a low bar squat position where it's almost sitting on top of the rear deltoid. So you're pulling the bar down more and it's resting on the rear deltoids. So the high bar squat is better for some people. I always have people try out both high and low bar squat and see which one resonates with them. The high bar squat, you maintain a more upright position. The second one is the low bar squat, going onto those rear delts, squeezing your arms back so the delts pop out. You've got a little shelf to set them on. Nice wide leg position, toes about 30 degrees out, dropping the chest between the thighs on the low bar squat. It's more glute dominant. The high bar squat is more quad dominant. Go straight into the rack and set it down. And of course, the front squat. You want to make sure the bar is touching the throat and you have the bar set in the ditch. Lifting the elbows high creates a nice ditch for the bar to sit on. This is an alternate to the type of front squat that CrossFitters do. This one is a little easier to get into. You're just crossing the hands, holding the bar against the throat as the elbows stay high to keep that bar from rolling down the arms. Step straight into the rack and drop it down. Goblet squats. This can be done with a kettlebell or a dumbbell. You want to make sure that whichever one you're using, that you're keeping it pressed against your chest. Squatting down and back up. You notice the stance, wide stance with the toes about a 30-degree turn out. Goblet squat with a dumbbell, palms up, pressed against the chest, feet glued into the floor, hips push back, hips push forward. Dumbbell squat. Neutral stance, arms hanging to the side. You're trying to go as deep as possible. I like going down where the upper thigh is parallel to the floor. Hips push back, arms are neutral. Sumo squat, nice wide stance. This is good for inner thigh work. Making sure the knees are tracking towards the toes. Arms are just hanging. Think of the arms as just tools to hold on to the weight. Leg press. When you approach this leg press, it has an upper and a lower safety bar. We have the pins that you can put higher or lower depending on how deep you want to go with your leg press. They also serve as a safety stop if you get stuck. Feet can be close together, they can be wide, they can be lower, or you can do all the way down for the calf presses. Right now it's on the top. I need to bring it down a little bit because I'm shorter. So I just walk it down and hook it on the bottom. Making sure the safeties are in place. There's that wide stance with the toes slightly out, or a close stance and high, depending on which position you put your feet, will depend on what part of your leg that you're wanting to hit. This is more of a position you'd be in for squats. Making sure the knees don't cave in. The inner thighs are weak, so you want to make sure that you're always pressing the knees out. And as you're pressing with the foot, it is rooted into the plate. You're not coming up on your toes. you're actually pressing a slightly more through your heels. That protects the knees. Never locking out the knees. Always have soft knees. Inhaling as you come down, exhaling on the exertion. Making sure that tailbone stays plugged into the pad. You never want your hips to curl up at the bottom of the movement. So this position here is a little bit more for the tops of the thighs, toes over the edge just slightly. Hits more the hamstrings and the glutes. I'm pushing more through my heels than my toes. Even though my feet are flat on the platform, I'm digging the heels in. That puts a little more stress into the hamstrings and the glutes. Just remember, never roll the hips forward when you go down, and always maintain a slight softness in the knees. You can move into a single leg press. Watch out for that knee that's down. Pressing all the way, inhaling and exhaling. You can't notice this, but I'm pressing a little more with my heel than my toe. Keeping that soft knee. Pressing with the heel, take some pressure off of the knee. Now you can walk your feet all the way down to do a calf toe press. Knees are soft, full stretch, and peak contraction. Never letting the knees lock out. Knees stay bent at that same angle all the way through this movement. Belt squat. This is the setup for the belt squat that we have at our gym here. Takes a little bit of setting up. I use the hooks that are closest because I'm a little shorter. You want to make sure your stance is correct. Wide stance, toes slightly out. That's where you'll be the strongest. You notice that it has a kickstand. I press the kickstand forward. That releases the weight. I like the legs to be parallel to the floor, going as deep as possible, not leaning back into it. You actually get in as neutral as a position as you can and lean forward, pressing the hips forward as you come up. Sandbag squat. Sandbag squat clean. This is more of a power movement, done quickly. This is the setup for the landmine. The bar was already inserted into the landmine. You just take it down, set it up, prepare for a landmine squat. Your arms are just hanging. Your back is straight from the crown of the head to your tailbone. Just cupping the bar in your hands, making sure your arms are just hanging. Remember, your arms are just tools to hold on to the weight. Notice I'm pressing my hips back and down. Lunge variations. That is more of a, I call it a railroad stance, rather than one foot right in front of the other, which has a tendency to have you lose your balance. It's better to start and step off slightly to the side. This is an alternating lunge. Step, drop straight down, and press back. Step, drop, so the knee stays over the ankle. There's no shear force, no movement forward, and thrust back. Step, drop straight down, thrust the shoulders as you come back. Bam, you can get some power in those shoulders as you come back. Add dumbbells to this movement to add a little bit of weight. Or you can also use a barbell. They're all done the same. You want a little bit of power when you push back, thrusting back with the shoulders. Step, drop straight down, and thrust. When you're using a box, make sure your foot is flat on the box. Nice, stable, pushing through the heel. So there's no shear force forward movement. It's a straight up and down. You place your foot, step straight down, dropping that back knee and thrusting back. No forward shear force. Straight down, pressing through that front heel. Step, drop, thrust. Adding some dumbbells when you're ready to add weight. When you're doing lunges, if you lean forward a little bit during the movement, it hits more your glutes. If you keep a more upright stance, it hits more quad. Reverse box lunge. You just want to make sure that you step back gently and drop straight down with the back knee. Reverse lunge. Stepping back gently, dropping straight down, returning to the position. Walking lunge, nice long stride, stepping straight down and coming up. You can use dumbbells. You can use a sandbag. You can also do a plate overhead. Overhead walking lunges. Making sure you're stacking your arms. Arms are totally straight. If that plate comes forward, that's going to put a lot of stress on your shoulders. So make sure you're pressing that plate away. Pumping lunge. This is a good way to start on a lunge. It's also called a split squat. Holding on with one hand for balance. If you lean forward, you hit more glutes. If you're more upright, you hit more quads. You can advance to not holding on at all. Going straight down with that back leg, leaning forward, and then thrusting your hips forward as you come up. That hits more of your glutes. This is a more advanced lunge where you go from forward lunge to reverse. Takes a lot of balance and coordination. Side lunge variations. Make sure that your knee is tracking in the same direction that your toe is pointing. Just a basic pumping lunge. You can rotate and lean forward, making sure that knee is tracking in the same direction as your toe. You can use some weight with this, back and forth, switching hands. Alternating side lunge. This is a little more power-based. You have to make sure you really thrust off to get back to where your feet meet in the center. Still watching that the knee is tracking towards the toe. Sandbag alternating lunges. Step, drop straight down, thrust those shoulders back to get back to the start position. I like the little longer step that ensures that the knee is tracking over the ankle. Sandbag walking lunges. All types of lunge variations to choose from. This is the Bulgarian split squat. This one is done with the pad right under the ankle. If your stance is too wide, though, you're going to stretch out that back thigh and hurt your hip flexor. It's better to have a little closer in stance, keeping the knee over the ankle and the back knees bending. So the back knee is dropping straight down to the ground. If you're more upright, that hits more your quad. If you bend over more, that hits more of your glute. Bend over, thrust your hip forward as you come up. It just depends on what part of the leg you're wanting to hit. You can hold on for balance. You can hold on to a dumbbell. One dumbbell to challenge your balance. Using 2 dumbbells for a bilateral dumbbell Bulgarian squat. Angled pistol squat. Don't bend the arms. You're actually pulling back on the bar and hinging down. The foot is placed so that when you're down, your ankle is directly under your knee. You're just hinging down at the shoulders. You notice my leg is floating forward. You can also tap the foot and then use it to spring up until you get stronger and more confident with this movement. Barbell hip thrusts. This can be done with a barbell or a dumbbell in your lap. I've got a barbell pad on the barbell. Drop the hips down. Feet are shoulder width apart. The bench is placed on the upper back. The chin stays tucked in as you squeeze and contract at the top of the movement. Rear cable kicks. Putting the ankle strap on. Extend back as far as you possibly can. Want to make sure your knees stay nice and soft. I like holding on with 2 fingers or no fingers at all. Dorsiflexion of the left toe. I'm lifting the left toe up. To get the left toe out of the way, I keep it dorsiflexed. Abductor cable kicks. I'm not leaning forward, trying to maintain a straight, stable position. Pressing out. I'm trying to lead with my left heel as I extend outward. Adductor cable kicks for the inner thighs, extending as far out as possible, dorsiflexing the right toe, crossing it across the body. Both the knees are slightly bent. I'm not leaning. I'm keeping the core tight and straight. The less you hold on, the better. Romanian Deadlift. I use an alternating grip. It allows you to hold on to the bar and for the bar not to slip out of the hands. Keeping the knees soft. Press the hips back. Slide all the way down to the shoelaces. Returning up. Not letting the shoulders sink or squeeze up, but they're slightly engaged back. They're not loose. Pressing the hips back. Stretching down. Not locking the knees out, keeping them soft, keeping the back flat. You notice my gaze is a neutral gaze. I'm not looking up or down. I'm not slumping my shoulders forward. Keeping that straight, strong spine. I like also alternating the stance, going a little wider, cocking the toes in just slightly. Notice how the arms are just hanging. They're just tools to hold on to the weight. Same thing for the Kickstand Deadlift. The back foot is propped against the wall. The belly button is rotated toward the left thigh. The hips are pushing back like you're closing a drawer. You can hold onto the wall or challenge your balance. Hyperextensions or low back extensions. This is a variation of what's called the glute ham developer, GHD. Making sure that if you're wanting to do this for your hamstrings, that you're keeping the tuck and protecting the back. This is working the whole posterior chain from the mid back all the way down to your ankles. Full stretch at the bottom. Tuck your chin, roll your shoulders forward at the top of the movement if you'd like to grab a weight once you get stronger. But you notice I'm not hyperextending all the way up. I'm keeping that chin tucked, shoulders rolled forward, using those glutes and hamstrings, taking pressure off the lower back. This is another variation, the reverse hyperextension. Leaning over, legs come up and out. Toes are dorsiflexed, so I can come all the way down. You can also place a band around your feet to add more tension to this movement. A nice wide stance, leaning over, making sure it's going under the feet, because if it's behind the heels or the calves, it'll just roll up the legs. Full stretch at the bottom, full squeeze and contraction at the top. Some people find that easier to do on their low back, to do the reverse hyper. Stability ball leg curls. You can either have the palms down or you can be up on the back of the arms with the hands up. Full extension, full contraction. You notice my hips are thrusting forward as I'm coming up. You can do one leg or two legs at the same time. The bottom can lower down to the floor and rest, or you can keep the bottom elevated. Oh, and everybody likes that wall sit. Make sure that the upper thigh is parallel to the floor and the knees are directly over the ankles. Don't use your hands on your thighs. Just let your arms relax to the side and breathe. This can also be done one leg at a time.